we are now 7 weeks away from the NFL season, with our first game of all days is going to be on a Wednesday, which is going to be really weird, which I think is due to Thursday. They're playing in Australia. So that's why they're going to have their first official game on Wednesday. So we're 7 weeks away from the NFL season. Um, so
Thank God.
yeah. But so with that said, over the next few weeks, we're going to be giving our division predictions. So kind of going over each of the teams and seeing how we feel, how confident we feel about these teams going into this upcoming season. So over the next few weeks, we'll talk about that. So tonight, boys, we're going to be starting with the AFC and the NFC South. So let's go ahead and get started here. I want to see what you guys have for your predictions. Why don't we go ahead and start with the AFC South? Who would like to lead us off?
I mean, I can
I
do that. Do you want to
I
go like one by? Do you want to go one by one? Like we just go like
I would
who we think
say,
is gonna finish at the
yeah,
I
I
think
would
we just
bottom?
go
say,
like team for team.
yeah, I think we do team for team. So
So
why don't
with
we
the
start with the
Bucks,
Texans for the
the
AFC
Texans.
South?
Texans.
Sounds good.
Um, I have them finishing second in the division, 10-7.
I have the Texans at third in the division, 5-12.
I have them. mm, I would have them first in the division at 13-4.
Oh, we're all over the place. Holy,
We are.
okay. Do
Uh,
you want to talk about as like why we're in this
Uh,
mindset a little bit?
yeah. So for me personally, I'm looking at so if you look at uh the division itself and their division games, I think that they split with the Jags. I think they get swept by the Colts, and I think they sweep the Titans. Right? I think they're good enough to steal one from the Jaguars, but I don't know. I like the Colts way more than I like the Texans, and I think personally, I think that the Colts will be a better rounded team throughout the year, and I think that'll be enough to push them through to a sweep of the Texans. But then on that other note, like the Titans, I mean, I just don't like anything about the Titans really, right? And that'll show when we get to the Titans and how I have them going this year. Um, and then otherwise, I mean, if you pull up their schedule, I mean, it's kind of it's not really a good draw for the Texans in my opinion. Especially that those first 7 games. I mean, those first 7 games, I have them I think at 1-7, and that only win coming against the Titans, excuse me. Like that's a tough first 7 games for an offense quite frankly that's been struggling the way they have. Right?
See, and I understand all that. Let me just kind of take you through where I sat them because I have them winning 13 games and only losing 4. That being with they're going to split with the Colts. I do think that they'll probably take like their for the first game, but the Colts will kind of get things together and win in the second one. Same thing for Jags. I think they are splitting with the Jaguars because I do love what they have going on down there in Jacksonville. And I think they can get themselves put together because, like you do say, they have had some struggles, particularly on their offense. We've talked about on this show the some of the turnovers that CJ Stroud has had, and really just there's not a line particularly that's kind of helping him in that situation. But and then my other 2 games that I have them losing are Green Bay and Philadelphia. So I personally really like this Texans team because there's a lot of potential there. If they figure out their offensive line woes, then I really think that they are a legit contender. They beat the Steelers, who frankly should not have been there last year in the wild card round. But like despite all that, if you clean up the turnovers, fix that O line, I think you are probably an AFC championship game level team. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. I went 10-7 primarily because the fact that I think the storyline with the Texans this year is going to be predominantly the defense is going to be not historical, but it's going to be elite. And I think the offense is going to have its ebbs and flows. And I think there's going to be the whole discussion about whether or not CJ Stroud is the quarterback going forward. I don't believe that personally. I just think that's going to be narrative pushed out at some point during the season. I do agree with Leo on the fact that if they figure out their offensive line issues, I think that this team, like, the sky's the limit. But I just, it's a lot of question marks. I mean, David Montgomery, I think the running back room does help out a lot with how bad their run game was last year. But again, it boils down to, can that offensive line just exist for 3 seconds and protect CJ Stroud? And I think
So
I think personally, I think they're going to be good enough to make the wild card, but I think that's the biggest concern is their offensive line.
that's why I have them honestly 2 at 5 and I just don't trust the offensive line. Like unless they show something, like I just don't trust the offensive line at all. You know, like yeah, it's just that's kind of where I'm coming from, though. You know, I want to see him succeed again. I like the Texans a lot, actually, but I just don't trust the offensive line. They have a great defense, but I just think at the end of the day, they're gonna get if they get in a shooting match, they're not gonna win that shooting match. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like,
I think it's going to be a lot of like low double digit scoring games for the Texans that they're going to have.
yeah,
I think like it's going to be a lot of like 17 point, like 17-10, 17-14 games that they're going to win. And it's going to be like really straight.
Yeah. And like
maybe
you
they
said,
get some
Peter,
devil magic on their side.
You clarified it perfectly, Peter. The sky's the limit for this team. If they do some proper cleanup for this team, I do think that they could be a legit contender. Man, they could probably make a Super Bowl. They just got to clean things up. That's really all they got to do. There's not like a whole lot that's stopping them.
They have everything in front of them. If they could just like figure out like 3 of the 5 offensive line issues, like they're golden.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. Let's go to another team who is arguably up on the uprising right now, and personally someone that I also am kind of rooting for, the Jacksonville Jaguars, because I have the Jaguars also going 13-4, but I'll have them winning second place in the division.
I have Jacksonville finishing first in the division at 12-5.
I have the Jags at second in the division at 10-7.
Okay.
So, like I had said before, the Jaguars, they will split with the Texans. But so other than that game, some of the notable matchups that they have, they're gonna also split with the Colts, and then their other 2 losses are gonna probably be like the Patriots and the Broncos. So see, you have a little bit of there's a lot going on here for Jacksonville. The primary thing has been Trevor Lawrence. You know, he's been in the league for what, like 5-6 years now at this point, and you know, we're just now seeing like his talent reach the levels that it probably should have been when he entered the league. He was he was a first round pick, and there was high expectations for him going into the league. Jaguars historically have not been a great team. They have like one season where they are typically like a sky's the limit type team, going and winning a divisional, winning a potential AFC championship game. They dismantled the Steelers, over a decade ago, which is a game I don't even want to talk about. But they have those those 1 or 2 seasons every now and then where they're just incredibly good. For me, I think this is the turning point for them after seeing the performance of Trevor Lawrence last year. It seems like he's kind of finally gotten a grip on this team and what needs to be done. They've obviously picked up some tremendous assets to their team. One, of course, being Travis Hunter. That was a huge pickup for them in the draft. And I think that he has the weapons he needs where they need to go. So for me, it's also a sky's the limit situation. I do just think that the Texans will probably just edge out for the division and winning it first. So there'll be some type of tiebreaker going on with that. But I do think the Jaguars, they might have finally hit their turning point that they need to consistently be good. And Trevor Lawrence is going to be the one to lead them and, complete that cycle that they've been trying to do for over a decade now. And the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit for the Jacksonville. That's my personal take, but 13-4 for them is where I have them going.
Yeah, so for me with the Jags, like again, this is another team that I really like. I do really like the Jags. I'm just not insanely confident in their offense outside of Trevor Lawrence, right? Brian Thomas has shown really good things, but he was really inconsistent last year. Jacoby Myers can be a good receiver, but again, he's just kind of another inconsistent guy. We don't really know too much about him. And then wide receiver 3 is Parker Washington. Like, yeah, he had some big games last year, but is he really a guy you want at wide receiver 3? Not saying that obviously you can't have, Malik Neighbors a wide receiver 3, right? That's not possible. But I don't know if I'm sold on Parker Washington. And then just kind of defensively, it's just not really a defense I love. That's kind of my other concern with them is again, if you get in a shooting match, can the Jags offense, I think will be a lot more capable uh to go out and survive a shooting match, but I don't love it. I'm not in love with it is my big concern. And I think they split pretty much. I think I have them splitting the entire season if I recall. Like I don't think so. Yeah. It's for them I just think it and again, let's just be real. I think, they're an injury away from things going downhill. Brian Thomas gets hurt, Jacoby Myers steps out of wide receiver 1, Parker Washington wide receiver 2, who replaces Parker Washington at wide receiver 3. I think they're an injury away, and then again, running back, their running back room is cooked, in my opinion. So that's my big concerns with the Jags.
Yeah, I think for me, like that's like one big concern I had with Jacksonville heading into this season was because primarily that the I just think again like with Travis Achan gone and he goes to New Orleans,
Etienne,
I think
Travis
that
Etienne.
well his he actually did say in his press conference the correct pronunciation is Achan. I don't know
Really?
against yes I again
That's weird.
I'm that is the way that he said that in his media day with New Orleans. Again, that's we'll get into New Orleans later on. But I really liked I again like I it's kind of like what I think you were saying, Aiden. Like the whole entire offense is going to revolve around Trevor Lawrence. If Trevor Lawrence
Yeah.
has a great season, this team can win the division. If he has mediocre season, like I think it's still viable with really how I think again weird the AFC South has been over the last 5 years. But I think losing that running back room is just bro, like that's gonna be if you get 750 yards rushing from one running back, like that's an achievement for them because like I don't have any confidence in it. I think that the with Travis Hunter going to come back this year from his season-ending injury from last year. I think that we're going to potentially see him like be very good, but it's a question of like do you utilize him on the offensive side of the ball primarily or defensive side. And I think they would probably go defense first because I think their secondary is a little sketchy in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I think really overall, like I think that this schedule is a good gauge on I think where Jacksonville can go, and I think Liam Cohen is the correct coach for Trevor Lawrence and for this team to like really go from a surprising team last year that won 13 games last year to this year like they could again win the division for a second year in a row.
Yeah. And I like that you pointed out their schedule because I think it's a kind of a rocky start to the year, but I think they have a really solid middle of the year. Personally, that's kind of how I phased it. I think they actually have a really solid
Mhm.
middle of the year, and then late, I think they kind of stumble a little bit late and finish a little rocky. It's kind of my thought.
Yeah, I mean, they have a 3-game stretch of the year. They play the Titans, Giants, and Titans again.
Yeah,
So that's like 3 wins, like right off the bat, right there.
Pretty easy for them,
It's
yeah.
yeah. So I think they'll be fine.
yeah.
Well, let's move on to the Indianapolis Colts. Ian, why don't you take the lead
Sure.
here?
Yep. So I have the Colts winning the division at 12-5, and I think they sweep the South outside of the Jags, who I think they split a game with. Um, I mean, what can I say about the Colts? They have one of, if depending on who you ask, the best running back in the NFL. Again, depending on who you ask. If you ask Ethan, he might say that. I don't know. He loves Jonathan Taylor. Um, Again, and
Big
then
Ten guy.
this is yeah, this comes back to, again, the Daniel Jones conversation. I like Daniel Jones enough to be confident in him, you know? I think their offense, I think, will be fine, you know? I think, as long as he stays healthy. That's a big caveat to that. If he stays healthy, I think their offense will be fine. Alec Pierce deserved contract extension. I think we talked about that way back when it happened. I think he's going to be a great wide receiver one. He showed a lot of good things. I like Josh Downs a lot, wide receiver two. Obviously, Tyler Warren, absolute stud at tight end, so you can't be upset there. Solid offensive line all around, obviously led by the probably the best left guard in the NFL, and Quentin Nelson. And then defensively, they are definitely not as strong, in my opinion. Obviously, got some good names there. I'm excited to see Sauce Gardner get his first full year with the team, get that full system under his belt, see what he can do with that full off season of experience with the defensive coordinators. See what he can do this year because he's, in my opinion, has a really high ceiling. So
Hmm. Yeah, I have the Colts finishing third in the division at 8-9. And that's because, primarily speaking, I am not a fan of Daniel Jones. I don't believe in him. I think that what we got last year out of Daniel Jones was it reminded me a lot of that year where the Giants were super super good and they made the playoffs, and everyone's like, oh, like Daniel Jones turned the corner, he became a better player. I think, primarily speaking, that's because, like, Jonathan Taylor was an MVP candidate last year, and I mean, we all saw what happens. Like, Daniel Jones gets hurt. Anthony Richardson, he's probably get moved on or cut or traded uh, before the season starts or during the season. Um, I don't have any. I think the Colts, to me, are like a mid team. Like, they're good enough to be decent, but not good enough, in my opinion, to where they're a contender. And I think overall, until the Colts get off the quarterback carousel every year about, like,
Mm.
hey, like, we're gonna bring in Carson Wentz, or we're gonna bring in Phil Rivers to have like retirement for the third straight time, or like whoever else are gonna bring in a quarterback. They got to figure out who their long term future QB is going to be, and I think with this year's you can find it. I just don't think the Colts, in my opinion. I think Daniel Jones. I think I alluded to it in our quarterback rankings. I think the snake salesman. I think he gets one good year, he swindles you out of millions of dollars, and then he runs off into the sunset, and nobody can find him. So, 8 and 9.
Yeah. I do share the same optimism as Aiden does. I know we've had our Daniel Jones conversations in the past, but I do also have the Colts finishing third at 12-5. Um, the way I kind of looked at the Colts, again, with the Daniel Jones situation, maybe this was a one-time fluke, maybe it wasn't. I still, again, am a believer in Indiana Jones and think that he can do it. But when I take a look at their schedule too, I do think relatively they have a relatively easy schedule for the most part. Like I don't see them having problem sweeping the Titans. They'll beat Minnesota. The Dolphins aren't going to be any good this year. I don't think the Giants are going to be good. Um, but for some of their losses, they make sense. Ravens, they're going to lose. Chiefs, Eagles. The one that I was also kind of had trouble deciding on was the Bengals. Bengals we'll get to another day, but Bengals, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there that they play them week 16. So that could be a hit or miss game for them. But overall, I do think they have a relatively good schedule that I don't think it would be hard for them to go and win 12 games this season. So, but again, like you said, it does come down to how Daniel Jones is going to perform. If this is a one-time thing, if he gets injured, they have arguably one of the best running backs in the league to help carry them if they need it. And we kind of saw that a little bit after Daniel Jones' injury last year, but it's not going to be enough. The quarterback is the leader on the field. If you don't have the right quarterback, you're not getting very far. But if he's healthy and Jonathan Taylor is healthy, I think this team can hit the bar. But again, there's not too much for me personally against Daniel Jones. So that's kind of where I have them. I have them at 12-5. I'm an Indiana Jones believer. What can I say?
I find it interesting. So my catalyst kind of for their season is this early part of the year. I think they're going to shock the Ravens. I think they're gonna Lamar coming off of his injury. I don't think he's gonna be playing at his best ability. I think they're gonna go in. They're gonna find a way to get it done at home against the Ravens, and I think that's gonna be the catalyst to start the year. I also think they beat the Chiefs, even though it's in Kansas City. I don't, I'm not a huge fan of the Chiefs this year. Uh, we'll see what happens. I don't know if you guys saw the video of Travis Kelce reporting to camp. One of the comments said it looked like he was pregnant with his and Taylor Swift's baby because that was like how out of shape he looked, I guess.
Oh my
no.
gosh, that's
I'm not
terrible.
condoning that comment. I am
no.
just saying what I read. That's it. I
Oh my
actually
He went way
think,
too hard. He went way too hard on the honeymoon.
yeah, Levi, I actually think I'm gonna contest kind of your argument. I actually think they dropped the game to the Giants middle of the year.
Mhm.
Um,
Interesting.
because I love the Giants. That's all I
Well,
have to say. We'll get to
yeah,
that in another episode, but
save it there. But interesting. That'll be an interesting topic for another day. I love that. Let's finish the AFC South here, boys, with the Tennessee Titans.
Well, we all have them last, sadly.
We all have
yeah.
them last.
Now what
And
the
I don't think
record
a
is
lot.
the
five and
I
question.
think we're
12.
in agreement that we don't have them going very far, personally.
5-12 is
Yeah,
kinda
I have them
high.
going 5-12.
I also
personally.
have them going 5-12. There's just, I'm sorry, Tennessee, but this is Cam Ward's second second year. I mean, they have a lot of promising assets on their team. They just got Carnell Tate in the draft. Obviously, a little bit of Ohio State bias there. They have Pollard as their running back. Calvin Ridley, I still think I know he's getting a little bit older, but he's still plays at a decently good level. I guess it really just comes down to maybe their defense. I don't trust what their defense has going, but I think they picked up some good assets for their offense this year, but it's not going to be enough for them. I'm sorry. I really don't have a whole lot to say here on the Titans. It's just, with everything they have going on right now, I just don't trust. I don't trust the system they have there. Cam Ward's going to probably still need another year. The Titans they're still trying to figure things out. So I don't know. They're 5-12. Not much else to add to them.
Yeah. I have them at 5-12 too, because I think, again, kind of what Levi was alluding to. They have just so many problems, I think, in general. I do think I agree with Levi's fact that, hey, they got Wandale Robinson at wide receiver. That's a really good pickup for them. Carl Tate, the whole entire wide receiver core is just rejuvenated with good talent. But my problem is the fact that, one, it's a whole new coaching staff, whole new system. They got Robert Saleh as head coach, Brian Dable. Did you guys hear what Nashville's calling them for the Titans
What?
for Robert Sala and Brian Dable? They're
I
called
did
them the
not.
Bald Bros.
The Ball Bros?
The Bald
Oh,
Bros.
Bald
Interesting.
Bros. Oh my
Because they're
gosh.
both like significantly bald. But I think overall for them, like I think this season's just a wash again. Because again, like seeing a lot of help. I think they're gonna like again with this year's draft, be bad, get another good offensive weapon to come out, whether that be running back, whether it be a better tight end or a better offensive lineman to help them out to solidify the line. Again, Robert Sala's, I think the defense was going to be fine. I think Robert Saleh has shown the fact that he can work pretty well with not a lot of talent around him. Or like what happened last year with the 49ers, like that defense got decimated by injuries, but they were still a top-notch defense because Robert Saleh knows how to be really good. But I think with Brian Dable there, I think it's going to take some time for Cam Ward to go, like one, learn the system, and then two, like take that next step and develop. And I just think that this year is just going to be a year where they're not going to be good. They're going to get a top 10 pick, and then they're just going to continue in their rebuild.
Yeah, I have the Titans at 3-14. I don't really like anything that they're offering. Like
Let's go.
yes, they got Carnell Tate. Yes, they have
Go at him.
Cam
Go
Ward,
unleash
who I
him.
really like. But
Let us
their
know how you
defense,
really feel. Let us know how you really feel.
okay, listen. Their defense probably should never be allowed to step on an NFL football field. Like, what in the heck is their defense outside of like Jeffrey Simmons, I think is his name? Like, I don't like their defense by any
They
stretch of
got
the
the
imagination.
Madden generated players on that defense.
Like, and then again, you look at their offense. Like Cam Ward, I think Cam Ward could be a really good quarterback. He's shown really good stuff, even last year with what he had. Carnell Tate will add another another layer to that offense. But you know, at the end of the day, they still have Calvin Ridley in there. They still have Wan'Dale Robinson in there. Like, let's just be so for real for a second. Those guys are not amazing. Calvin Ridley's okay. Calvin Ridley could be really good. I don't know, like, kind of what happened since he was drafted, because I remember he was highly touted coming out of college.
He gambled. He gambled and got suspended.
Yeah, but still, uh, but I mean, like, what do you say? You know, like, they're just not a good team. You know, I think I literally have them winning against the Jets at the start of the year, and then they don't see a win until week 12, where I think by some miracle, I think they split with the Jags. I think the Jags have one of those off games where things just don't click, the defense doesn't play well, the offense is struggling, and I think for some reason they sneak one away from the Jags, and then I don't have another win till week 16 against the Raiders, and I think that's self-explanatory. But like, I genuinely just hate everything about this team. I don't think it's a good team. I'm sorry, Titans fans. I like Tony Pollard. I like Cam Ward. I like Carnell Tate. But if you weren't in a rebuild yet, which I think you have been, I think you need to continue the rebuild. So 3-14.
Salute.